Clearly, you really want to buy this company. You really want to be the one that wins. And since you made this higher offer, I'm wondering what kind of feedback you've gotten from Spirit shareholders and how confident that has you feeling going into the vote later this week.
The feedback's been great. And again, thanks for having us on. The feedback's been great. And ISS came in with their recommendation that Spirit shareholders accept this deal on top of Glass Lewis. So we feel really good about the vote this week.
Barry, Danny here in London. Great to speak with you. You know, if you want to be the capitalist skeptic, you could say, look, JetBlue, they're frankly just offering more money for it. What do you think has ISS and the shareholders you've been speaking to more into a frontier merger than that of JetBlue?
Well, thanks for the question, Danny. I think, you know, if you look at the headline today, yes, maybe they're out offering something that may seem more, but it's illusory. What you're looking at is you have a clear choice between the Frontier Spirit merger versus a JetBlue Spirit merger. We will lower fares for consumers, create $1 billion in benefit for consumers, and theirs would actually raise fares for consumers, making a family of four pay roughly $400 more per round trip, which may mean they couldn't even fly. So that means that it has no chance of actually getting through the antitrust process. So all you're getting in the JetBlue offer is the $3 and the breakup fee. What you get with the Frontier Spirit merger is you don't get left behind. The shareholders benefit in the upside, the $500 million in synergies. And so that's why the Spirit board has voted in favor, because they see this being a $50 to $60 per share opportunity for Spirit shareholders. So we look forward to the vote.
Okay, so if this goes through and you successfully merge with Spirit, you're still going to be a relative minority player in the market. You'll get more market share, but it's still going to be a lot less than some of the major carriers. I'm just wondering how you actually think this will shift the competitive landscape.
Well, in the United States, you know, the big four dominate. They control 80% of the market, and that's kind of crowded a lot of consumers out and made them pay higher prices. By joining forces with Spirit, Frontier and Spirit will be able to offer more low fares to more people in more places. It enables us to actually even lower our costs further, and so we can spread these fares to more people. And so I think in a time of all the inflation, which seems to be the hot topic every day, and on this channel and others, I think it's really important to have low fares for people, and that's what this merger does.
Oh, Barry, music to our ears, just leading us straight into the inflationary conversation. You know, it's interesting. I talk with Michael Leary over at Ryanair quite frequently, and he says, look, this type of environment, even a recessionary environment, it's something that benefits us. How do you look at the possibility of a recession and what it means for Frontier and a possible Frontier-Spirit combo?
Well, look, Mikey's right. I mean, we see the same thing in the United States. I mean, if you go back decades, Southwest used to see it, and now the ULCCs, ultra-low-cost carriers in the United States, see this. We saw this in the great financial crisis. You know, people trade down; they look for more value, and so you see this in all types of retail and consumer spending. So in times of crisis like this with inflation, people look for the alternatives like we provide, and I think it'll be more important than ever during this inflationary period.
But if you're trying to keep ticket prices low to entice people to maybe fly with Frontier rather than another airline, and then they can actually afford the vacation in the face of inflation, what does that mean for your ability to offset some of the higher costs you are facing, like on fuel?
Well, so look, I mean, we have the lowest ex-fuel costs, but we also have the lowest fuel costs. We're America's.
How?
Well, we have it because we're America's greenest airline. We get over 100 miles per gallon per seat. That compares to about 63 miles per gallon on the industry average. And if you just think about it in simple terms, we use about 10 gallons of fuel to move a seat 1,000 miles. And say, you know, one of the big three might use 15 gallons. So not only do you save money in the ex-fuel, and so even though there's inflationary pressures, we dampen that down, but we also spend less on the fuel because we burn less of it.
What does your hedging look like, Barry? How well hedged are you? How long is that likely to last?
So we are not hedged, and in the United States, you know, most carriers are not. So we're all kind of at the market forces.
Okay, I'm wondering, you talk about how you have a lower fuel burn rate. Sustainable aviation fuel is something that seems to be getting hotter and hotter. It's also more expensive. I'm wondering kind of what role you see that playing in the market as there is a pivot eventually to net zero, even if we're shifting back to fossil fuels for the time being due to the war in Ukraine.
Look, I think SAF's gonna have an important role as we move to net zero, and it's more expensive now, but almost everything is. It's just like, you know, solar was, and now you see solar becoming much more economical, and you see the payback much quicker. So you'll see the same thing as you start to get scale and volume. I think we'll see it be a competitive alternative.
Barry, I mean, considering you're very well placed to see what the trends are in terms of, are consumers less willing to pay up for more expensive flights? Do they move to low-cost airlines? Are you seeing signs of that specifically for the summer travel season?
So we've seen, a pretty good shift in kind of customer demographics, and we've seen a big increase in household incomes for our customers in the last few months versus the same period in 2019. So we don't know if this is because people are making more money or if we're seeing some downshift, but it's probably, we suspect, a little bit of both. Look, the demand has never been this good. I mean, you've got years of people sitting at home and not seeing their friends and family or taking that business trip. And so they're out in droves. And even if you do have some kind of recession, if you will, we've had the biggest recession in travel in the last 2 years that we'll ever see. So I'm not sure we're really going to actually know if there's really a recession just because there's so much pent-up demand.
Okay, well, as you say, the demand is there. The question is, will the supply be there? Is the capacity there? I look every single day at headlines of thousands of flights getting canceled across the country. We know there's labor issues when it comes to those in-cabin pilots. What are you facing in Frontier, and are you expecting to have to cancel many flights this summer?
So I'm really pleased. Our team's done a great job the last 6 weeks, kind of leading up to the summer peak. We're actually in third place in completion in the industry, meaning least canceled flights, and so really good position. We've spent a lot of effort to make sure that we have great operations. If we look at the overall year, though, we're still behind where we'd like to be, and the biggest difference versus 2019 has been air traffic control delays and a lot of cancellations that were a result of that. But the FAA is working with the airlines. We're spending a lot of effort on it, and I think we're going to get to a good place at some point. May still have some challenges. I think the weather will be a big factor, but I know there are some airlines that are actually having some staffing challenges. We're just a little bit more fortunate than others.
All right, well, while we're talking about your staff and your employees, I do want to ask you, in light of the decision at the Supreme Court on Friday, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, we've seen a number of companies out saying that they're going to support out-of-state healthcare costs, support their female employees if they have to seek an abortion in another state than where they're located. Have you at Frontier made any firm plans around that yet?
Well, look, I'm not going to comment on the decision, and this is just happening. We're just starting to look at it, and we'll make an announcement at some point.
All right, Barry, yeah, just want to clarify, this is something you're still working through about changes, not necessarily that you're not going to make any changes when it comes to employee accommodations here.
Yeah, look, it just happened, so we're just starting to study it, and I'm actually here on your studio today, so we're not at the office talking about it, but it's a quickly developing situation, and we'll see what happens.